We are live.
Yay!
Good
Hi,
timing.
everybody.
And there's Jill with her roll call request right on cue.
There we go. We've got Bruce and Jill and John and Sandy and Steve and Zoe, a tiny little crowd. Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe it was rye grains. Kevin is driving back from dropping his daughter back off at school, so he said he would probably not be here.
We'll be wingmanless.
Yeah. So I'm not going to end up being able to play for you what I planned to play for you, which was the explanation, or read to you is the explanation of what happened in how I created last week's show. But I want to play you a new clone. Let's see. Here. I'm just going to play you a little audio clip that I used. So I used two different services, play.ht and resemble-ai.ai. And this is the one you heard last week.
Best way for me to describe cross-stitching to nerds is that it's like 8-bit graphics. You create a picture using different colored threads where each cross-stitch is a little block. And making a diagonal line of these little blocks would be a jagged line, just like in 8-bit graphics.
Okay, now listen to this using the professional voice from Resemble.ai. The best way for me to describe cross-stitching to nerds is that it's like 8-bit graphic. You create a picture using different colored threads where each cross-stitch is a little block. Making a diagonal line of these little blocks would be a jagged line, just like in 8-bit graphics. All right, what do you think?
No, that second one's much better, at least in terms of the voice quality. I don't know about the intonation and pronunciation, but the voice quality is closer to you.
Yeah, I think it does sound more like me. This one makes odd mistakes though. Like you notice it said cross stick. Like it'll miss the
and graphic, not graphics.
graphic. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, a couple of them it did make mistakes, and there isn't like okay, regenerate that because you made a mistake. There wasn't a way to do that easily. Mm-hmm. So it would have had like just mistakes that I couldn't really fix.
So you didn't go with that?
Go with it. No, I already went last week
Okay.
with the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I will give a full explanation of all of that next week.
All right.
So this is not going to be a live show either. Hey, Steve, have you posted any new videos?
Not going to be a live
not going to be a long show.
Okay. Because I think we're live.
Oh, John says I was thinking not as grating as my real voice.
Let's see. Have I posted? I forget what I last posted last week, but I'm about to post, I think, my best Africa video.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be what?
I think you did do one midweek. What's your latest one you published? Put a link in.
All right. Let's see.
Sandy wants to know what your best one is about.
African painted dogs, and an entire pack, including 15 adults and 14 pups. It's amazing.
They were so cool.
We really felt lucky to have seen. See
they're
that.
endangered. We went to what do you call one of those places where they rescue animals in Africa, and it was they told us the story of how on the reserves the people are poaching because they're hungry because they don't have any food. This is in Zimbabwe, I think, right?
Well, so
were we in Zimbabwe for that part?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep going. We were in Zimbabwe for the Painted Dog Sanctuary. That's what it was called. And they explained that the poachers are trying to get something to eat, and what they're trying to catch is also they're not supposed to go out and catch. But the painted dogs get caught up in these horrible snares made out of wires, and it's pretty awful. So to get to see them in the wild was really fun.
So that's the last. The leopard video is the last one I posted, and I forget if I posted.
Leopard. There's some profanity in this one.
Just
not
one
by
word.
us.
Non-Girl Scout safe word.
But it was funny. It was funny as all get out.
So this painted dog video is pretty cool. So you'll see I won't post it tonight, but in the video, the pups are huddled around the opening of a den, and they're kind of hiding in the den. The parents return from a kill, and they start regurgitating their
Can I explain
meal.
how the stomachs work first?
Sure.
So the painted dogs have two stomachs. They go out on a kill, and they just eat giant chunks of the meat, and they just swallow it whole. And then they come back and they barf it up for the puppies and for the other members of the family that are back at the den. And then they go back and eat it again, and now it goes into a different stomach.
Yeah, and so we see the parents coming back and regurgitating their food for the pups. It's not actually as gross or graphic as it might sound.
It's funny, really.
But the frenzy that the pups get into when the adults return, they just go wild.
Especially
fun to
the
watch.
audio, right?
Yeah, the audio is pretty good.
The
Anyway.
well, you posted your cheetah, so I want to post or your leopard, so I want to post my one leopard picture.
We didn't do this last week?
Did we do this last week?
It sounds familiar.
Probably, but we're still excited. That's my favorite picture I took on the trip.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a keeper.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we get this party started?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that's a good question, Zoe. How do they know? All right, there will be lots of pauses for me to cough. I think I have a cough button. Here we go. Actually, yeah, I'm good. Oh, that's weird. The audio broke up. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, October 20th, 2024, and this is show number 1015. Well, I've got a great show for you this week, but it's not exactly what I had planned. Last week, you'll remember that I had to use an AI synthesized voice to read one of the articles for the show, and I promised you I'd talk about how I did it this week. While I did write up an extensive article explaining the two services I worked with and the pros and cons of both, you can tell by listening to me that my voice isn't yet strong enough to go through this whole thing. Don't worry, though, I do have one article from me and a follow-on conversation with Bart that will entertain and perhaps even educate you. And then next week, you'll learn all about how I created my fancy new laryngitis-replacing voice.
I fixed that typo.
Okay. All right, thanks. All right.
Although, if you're going to upload, I guess you...
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Let me go ahead and fix it, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm likely to. Thanks, though. Thanks, Jill. For both of us. All right. Screencast Online. Ooh, I just wrote the exact same words, extensive. Actually, I'm going to do a little bumper. Because I'm actually starting a new thing here. I talked long enough. Basic voice. Did that sound? That sounded
Yeah,
like it
there was
clipping.
distortion there. Yeah, I think it was peaking. Sounded like it was.
Why?
I don't know.
It's really weird. There we go. In July, I wrote an article walking you through the complete redesign of the podcatcher Overcast. If you like learning from text and screenshots, then you're in luck. It's a great article. But if you prefer to learn through video tutorials to actually see the app in action, you are also in luck. We've just published my latest tutorial on Screencast Online about Overcast. I'll teach you how to find podcasts, set up playlists, tailor each podcast playback and episode counts, and even how to make the theme match your taste. Overcast is a surprisingly deep and powerful podcast player, and I learned even more in creating the screencast for you. Screencast Online is a subscription service, and if you value learning new tools, you'll find that all of the tutors at Screencast Online are actually fantastic. With a full tutorial and a weekly tip video, it's a lot of content for the money. You can get a free 7-day trial at screencastonline.com, and that'll let you watch the entire back catalog of current tutorials, including my tutorial on Overcast. Actually, I'm going to use a different link. I'm going to use this link. Take people right to it. Here we go. Oh, no. That's weird. That copied the... Oh, come on. I keep putting something incorrect into the URL there. There we go. All right. Overcast. If you want to check it out, when you go to Screencast Online to look for the Overcast episode, if you want to check it out, you can go to Screencast Online and find the Overcast tutorial, and you can watch a teaser video even before you open your free trial. Blah, blah, blah. That was lame. Let's see. Here we go. Lame is probably something I shouldn't say. All right. It's so quiet. Nobody's talking. Nobody's texting in my ear by myself. All right. We fell asleep. Good. Let's see if it does that again. We've all gone to the bar. Okay. This week, Bart was doodling what he should talk about on his next episode of Let's Talk Photography, and he asked me if there's anything I'd like to hear about. I often come up with ideas for him, so this is always fun. Well, the answer I suggested this week turned into him inviting me onto the show to talk with him. The title of the episode of Let's Talk Photography is Better Than Your Eyes, and it's a perfect description of our discussion. We talked about how our phone cameras can now take better photos than we can even see with our own eyes. I learned this when viewing the recent aurora photos posted online, as people explained that the color wasn't really there to their eyes. They were just able to capture it with their phones. And while it is possible to see the color in an aurora, it needs to be quite bright, and Bart explains why this is true. Then we move on to talking about Steve and my new telescope, the Unistellar Equinox 2, and that allows us to view and take photos of distant astronomical objects, even from the light pollution capital of the world, Los Angeles. Again, another example of better than our eyes, things we can't see with the naked eye, but we can see with this telescope. Now, as Bart and I always do, we had great fun sharing stories and even talking about the apps we use to track celestial objects in the sky. You can find this episode at lets-talk.ie, and of course, there's a link in the show notes.
And when you say that, it's not necessarily because they're just too small. It may be that they're too faint. They're big enough, but they get obscured by the light, right?
Yeah, that's all in the article. Lindsay's here.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about. Excuse me. How was your little staycation for your anniversary, Lindsay? It looked super fun.
It did.
Okay. Now, 10 years.
10 good years.
All right. Here we go. Yeah, it's funny. Lindsay and Nolan went away for their anniversary, and so did Kyle and Nikki, and everybody's so happy to not be with their children. I get it.
They love their children dearly, but an occasional respite is a treat.
You're all fired up for parenting now. All right, here we go. When I add images to podfeed.com for blog posts, I use my blogging software of choice, MarsEdit. You've heard me mention it a lot of times. I simply drag an image to the text of a post, and MarsEdit does all of the formatting automatically, uploads it to my server, and links it all up. But on occasion, I want to upload a different kind of media, and then I have to do things by hand. For example, take last week, when I played an audio excerpt of my AI voice from early 2023, created by 11 Labs. To make this available to you for playback from within the blog post, I had to go through some manual gyrations. First, I launched my FTP client of choice, Transmit, from Panic. I have a bookmark in Transmit to the folder on my server where uploaded media belongs. All of the images in this audio file go into blah, 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 /upload/year/month. Steve, if you have that post up, can you look for where it says FT client? It should be FTP client.
Oh, okay. I was looking at it, trying to figure out what FT client
Yeah, I was looking at it too, going, I hope I'm going to know what it is when I get there. Oh, actually, in the next paragraph, it says I dragged. It should say I drag. Wait. Okay, so it needs to be I drag, and then which makes.
Okay, just turn that to present tense.
Available. Makes it available to link within a blog post.
All right.
Thanks. That's a mess. Oh, Frank's behind you, so you're not having to buy drinks. Yeah, last one in, that's the rule. Then I drag the audio file up to blah, 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 /upload/year/month, and that makes available, actually, you know what? Put it back the way it was. Now I know why it was past tense. Sorry. Did you catch that, Steve, to put it back the way it was? I dragged?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Then I dragged the audio file up to blah, 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 /upload/year/month, and that made it available to link within a blog post. The problem is, I don't have memorized what the URL would be for this file. I called the folder blah, 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 /upload/year/month on purpose because the blah, blah, blah part is the problematic part. Okay, I'm just not getting the intonation. I'm calling the folder blah, 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 /upload/year/month on purpose because it's the blah, blah, blah part that's the problematic part. I can right click on the file in Transmit that I've just uploaded, and it offers to copy the URL for me. Unfortunately, Transmit doesn't know about my website. It knows just where the file is on my server. So WordPress takes all these files on my server and builds a website, but Transmit doesn't know anything about that. So if I copy the URL from Transmit, it doesn't even start with https://. It starts with sftp://, which stands for secure FTP. That I'll get it yet. SFTP, I don't even know if I said that right the first time. So WordPress takes all these files on my server and builds a website, but Transmit. Good thing I don't have much to talk about. I'm making a lot of mistakes. So if I copy the URL from Transmit, it doesn't even start with https://. It starts with SFTP://, which stands for secure FTP. That SFTP:// is followed by the IP address of my server, not the name of my website. So it doesn't have either of the pieces I needed. There's a few more annoying folders in the URL from Transmit that only someone who works on web servers would appreciate. After all of this server glop information I just described, the rest of the URL is actually helpful to determine the location of the URL on the website. So the last part of it after the blah, blah, blah says /blog/wp-content/upload/2024/10/somefile.mp3. So all that part is actually going to be useful later. That might sound like nonsense to you, but if you right click on any media on my website, it'll have that same kind of information. So the beginning server glop, all that SFTP:// IP address and all this other nonsense, that needs to be replaced with podfeed.com, okay? Now that I explained it, it really isn't that hard to fix the URL so I can plop it into a blog post, but it's hard to remember and it's tedious to do. I've been doing this for 19 plus years, and just last week, I had to go study an old embedded file to figure it out yet again, because I just can't remember what it's supposed to look like. Bart and I noodled the problem a little bit online, and we came to the conclusion that a JavaScript string replacement script embedded... Gotta say that more cleanly, that's the important part. Bart and I noodled the problem in a little text message thread, and we came to the conclusion that a JavaScript string replacement script embedded inside TextExpander might make my life easier. My goal was to be able to right-click on the file I've uploaded in Transmit, you choose Copy URL, and then use a TextExpander snippet to paste it that would be, in this web server-friendly format. That's what I want to have. Just right-click and copy, and then I go over and I do my TextExpander snippet and it pastes it in the right way. Now, while I call myself a developer, my JavaScript has gotten rusty from misuse. I recently decided to start paying for ChatGPT 4.0, so I thought, hey, I'll ask for a wee bit of assistance in writing the script. Spoiler, in a small handful of conversational interactions with ChatGPT, I have a working TextExpander script. I want to walk through it as a way to illustrate what I mean by conversational and how you kind of have to hone your question to get the right answer. Here's my exact conversation. My initial query went like this. Starting with the first text string that I'm going to give you, write a JavaScript script that strips off the front matter and changes it to the second string I'm going to give you. I then gave it the SFTP server location of the file and the HTTPS web server URL with which I wanted it replaced. I used a specific example for this first foray with ChatGPT. ChatGPT assigned variable names to the first string and then defined the second string as the first string, but replacing that front matter with the front matter from the second string. I know that sounds funny, but it's doing exactly what I wanted it to do. So in other words, it said, replace the SFTP glop with the HTTPS glop. It then popped the second string into a console command to print it out. So here's a classic case of a computer doing exactly what you asked it to do, not what you meant to ask it to do. Since ChatGPT actually has memory of the continuing conversation, I was able to adjust my query by saying, I need this to be generic. The first text string will be in the clipboard, and the front matter will always be, and I gave it the glop, and I said the second part will always be replaced, and I gave it the other glop. ChatGPT happily answered, here's a JavaScript script that works generically, assuming you're reading the first text string from the clipboard. This script will always replace the specific front matter you mentioned. The new script was only slightly more complicated. Since I told it I was starting with something in the clipboard, it helpfully put the final URL in the clipboard for me as well. And one of the helpful features of ChatGPT when you do programming stuff like this is it not only gives you the code, it also explains how it works. It said, number one, it reads the current clipboard content using navigator.clipboard.readText. Number two, it replaces the front matter and it gave the two replacement strings. And then it logs the new string to the console, and optionally, it writes the modified URL back to the clipboard. Now we're getting somewhere. I created a new snippet TextExpander, changed the text format to JavaScript, and I splatted in the code ChatGPT gave me. I tried the snippet, but it threw an error. I could have tried maybe trying to figure out what that error meant, but why should I figure that out by myself? I added it to my conversation with ChatGPT. I said, this throws the following error, and I dropped in the error. Notice I didn't ask it a question. I just said, there's an error. ChatGPT simply explained why it didn't work. It said, the error you're encountering is because navigator.clipboard.readText is part of the Clipboard API, which only works in secure contexts, that is, over HTTPS, and in certain browser environments. If you're running this outside of such an environment, you can use a different approach to access clipboard data depending on the platform. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. It went on to explain how I could fix the problem by installing a package through the Node Package Manager, but I figured this could be solved more simply and elegantly if I just gave ChatGPT the information I should have given it in the first place. You see, I never told ChatGPT I wanted this to run inside TextExpander. Once I told ChatGPT the context, it splatted out a new set of code for me, and a new set of how it works explanations. I copied the new code, I splatted it into a TextExpander snippet, assigned an abbreviation to trigger it. I opened Transmit, copied the URL of a file, and then pasted it into a text editor, and there was my happy, web-friendly URL. Gonna get a drink here. I'm really glad I did not decide to do that second article because it's about 20 minutes of reading. All right. Now, I haven't made fire here or anything. Lots of people have been using ChatGPT for coding for quite some time now. But I wanted to walk through the experience to stimulate you to think about the lessons learned. First of all, I was able to save myself a lot of time in creating the JavaScript text expander snippet because I used ChatGPT. Because I used ChatGPT, though, I didn't actually learn how to do it myself. Now, if I thought ahead and made my initial query more specific, I could have gotten to the right answer more quickly. So I learned a little bit about how to work with ChatGPT. Now, perhaps it was quicker to let ChatGPT, though, highlight the problems in my query, so maybe that was quick enough. Being able to have a conversation, including memory, with a large language model is the dream we've always had about how a digital assistant should actually... Okay, that was too clumsy. Stumbling. Being able to... Boy, that voice is gravelly. Balloon sandwiches. Okay. Being able to have a conversation, including memory, with a large language model, that's the dream we've always had of how a digital assistant should be able to help us. Finally, having access to ChatGPT makes coding more accessible to the novice, and I can speed up laborious typing of code, even for the... Not I can. It can. Finally, having access to ChatGPT makes coding more accessible to the novice, and I think it can probably speed up laborious typing of code, even for the accomplished programmer. Now, a lesson we've all probably learned by now is you have to test and verify whatever ChatGPT tells you. This really isn't all that different from getting an answer from a human on the web, though, is it? You want to study and understand what you're being told, no matter the source. Now, I'm sure my perspective will rankle some folks. If you're one of those people, hope you'll tell me where you think I've gone astray. I truly welcome the discussion because we're all figuring this out right now. After I posted this, let's see. I'm going to listen to something here. Don't remember if I said this. Listening to something. Yeah, okay, I did already say it, so I don't need to say that again. All righty, now we need... Street brings balloons.
So Lindsay pointed out that you're helping her plan the Costa Rican vacation using ChatGPT or something.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
Are you using ChatGPT?
Yeah. I haven't gotten any feedback on whether it's telling the truth. But by the way, Lindsay, I did not verify anything it told me yet.
So don't firm up plans.
Well, no. So what it was a lot of people have been to Costa Rica and make recommendations on what you should do there, but they aren't necessarily looking for the same kind of vacation that Lindsay and Nolan have. So I described the kind of vacation they wanted and then said where in Costa Rica would be the best place to stay. And it gave an area. And then I say, okay, within that area, what are some suggested hotels that would give this kind of experience and within this kind of dollar frame? And so it's at least got a start. Oh, yeah. You've decided on one of those hotels.
Oh, cool.
Or maybe they haven't decided. Might be misinterpreting
Starting point,
that.
she says.
Okay. But one thing I have learned is when it tells you prices, those aren't usually the prices.
Well, aren't these language models?
They have. They have decided.
No.
They need to know when we can come watch the kids. Oh, look at the time.
So I thought that they were only up to 2 years recent and not sooner. So the pricing wouldn't that be 2 years in the past?
Well, it's not 2 years. I was using ChatGPT for something today. Oh, I was asking it about the new Honda Prologue because I think that's a car Lindsay should buy. It's a new EV. And I wanted to know how much it cost. And she referred to it as in the future, saying it's expected to cost this much. And I said, well, it's already out. And she says, yeah, I'm only up to date to the end of 2023.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's like 10 months old. No, it was 4.0 that said that, Jill.
Yeah, 4.0 has been available for a little
Yeah,
bit.
maybe, maybe it was just that piece of data. It didn't have anything new. It could have been, right? Might know something more recent.
Why do they...
It's out right now.
And this... Oh, sorry. I have a question about the numbering on ChatGPT. Why are they going with this lowercase o? Is that the
question.
letter O and not the number 0? It looks like an O, like a...
It is an O. It's not a
Okay.
0. And
So is the next one P? Where are they coming up with this?
Jill might know. Jill knows this stuff better than me.
Do you know how they choose their lettering scheme?
All right, you're getting 3 answers. I'm going to just check this audio
Beta.
connection here.
Okay.
It's out right now. Wait. I truly welcome the discussion because we're all figuring this out right now. That sounds like there's going to be another sentence, doesn't it? I don't like the way I ended that.
Play that again, Sam.
Just a second. You think I've gone astray? I truly welcome the discussion because we're all figuring this out right now. Because I was about to say something else, and I didn't end up saying anything else. So I think I need to just re-emphasize that. Actually, I'll do it. Now, I'm sure my perspective will rankle some folks, and if you're one of those people, I hope you'll tell me where you think I've gone astray. I truly welcome the discussion because, we're all figuring this out right now. That's what it should say. And then this needs to go here, and this needs to go here. Maybe there. No. Okay. The O in ChatGPT.
That's ironic.
Does that have any specific meaning in relation to the GPT models? If you see for written somewhere, maybe a typograph. No.
This is incorrect.
This is incorrect.
That's Jill's
Oh,
point.
Jill's saying it's the wrong answer. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's
Did
funny.
you ask ChatGPT?
About itself, and it
Okay,
gets it
that
wrong.
is hilarious, Jill. This out right now.
Omni.
Oh, who says Omni?
Maybe she looked that up on Google instead of OpenAI. Oh, the website. Hopefully that's accurate. Should be.
Yeah, that's funny. All right. Here we go. Up. Long thing is up. Well, our hero of the week is Keith Kuby. Maybe he heard about the cost of an AI voice for last week, or maybe just now realized he gets a lot of education and enjoyment out of the shows we produce here at the Podfeed Podcast. Either way, he took his hard-earned dollars and he took them to podfeed.com/Patreon, and he signed up to support the show. I can't thank Keith and all of the other Patreon members for their patronage. Wait, I can't thank them? How about if I can't thank them enough? I can't thank the other Patreon enough. That would be better. I can't thank. It's a lot of cuts. I can't thank Keith and all of the other Patreon members enough for their patronage of the shows. It makes me feel good, and it helps pay for things like AI-generated voices when I get sick. All right. I heard something. Oh, man, it was on... the Accidental Tech Podcast, and they referred to one of the new models, and it had a lowercase letter in it, Jill. But I can't remember what it was.
Beyond 4.0?
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't 4.0 or it wasn't 4P. It was something with a lowercase letter. A number with a lowercase letter, but it was something about one of the models. But now
Maybe Omni gets replaced with another word, and they just pick that letter or whatever it begins with.
Maybe.
Like refined. Oh, maybe it's R.
Oh. Never mind. Not ooh. Right there, and then take. Let's see, get rid of that one. And we get rid of this one. This is how you know your monitor's too big, when you have to move your head to get so you can see it. Okay, here's your blink, Steve.
Ready?
Blink.
Excellent. Well done.
I realized Bart did the recording for Let's Talk Photography, and I did the plink, but I wasn't on my game, and I just went plank.
Isn't that the way Tom does it?
Yeah, but it wasn't obnoxious Tom level. It was just plank. I didn't do anything. All right, so we'll listen to this for a little bit, but not too long. Well, now you've just heard me talk about how I use ChatGPT 4.0 to write a JavaScript script for Text Expander to copy the URL from transmit to a usable URL for my blog post. On social media, when I posted the article that you just heard, I wrote, "I hope Bart isn't disappointed in me," on the post. So he responded in Slack, and I thought it'd be fun for you to hear it firsthand what his reaction was to it. So Bart, tell the audience, were you disappointed in me for using AI to do JavaScript?
Well, no. Okay, I'm going to be really, really, really honest. So what I wrote in Slack is what the adult me actually thinks. But there was a little voice in my head that was nowhere near as grown up. A little childish version of me, which would have been the version of me that opened my mouth 20 years ago. And the very, 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 very first thing I thought was, well, that works, but it's 3 function calls. I could do it on 1 line, which I did, and I posted it into Slack. But that's not actually what a real me thinks anymore. That's what I used to think.
Okay, so actually, there's 3 levels then. There's what I meant were you disappointed in me for not doing the work of doing it myself? But your answer to a different question was, well, yeah, but its as solution wasn't as good, which is your childish solution. And then there's the third answer, which is another more nuanced view of it.
That's a good point. Well, no, because I'm never disappointed because ChatGPT 4.0, that's cutting edge tech. So being disappointed that the person I love because they love getting stuck into new tech is using new tech would be weird.
Yeah, but I sort of feel like, I should have done it the hard way, which would have taken me like 3 weeks to write a JavaScript script to do that. And I just went, write it for me, and it did.
But see, I wouldn't look at it that way at all. I would look at it as if after ChatGPT 4.0 finished and you didn't understand what the code did and you ran it anyway, then I'd be disappointed with my security hat on.
Okay.
Because that's one of the most terrifying things, is people, particularly people who may have privileges on a device, they may be running as an admin, and they go to ChatGPT and they ask it to write a PowerShell script while they're like a domain admin and they run it. That makes me cringe every which way. But no, if ChatGPT
can we say I understood the
gist?
gist of it? Is that good enough?
Yeah. It is, because the empty page problem is hard. Yeah. I hate empty pages. I'm terribly bad at getting started on something, so I'm never going to judge anyone for using a tool to go from 0 to anything.
Okay.
And once you have something, you can finesse and you can refine and you can keep going, but it's so hard to get to 0. Or sorry, from 0 to not 0.
Something.
Anything else.
Right.
So, yeah, what I actually said was, because I decided to give my childish self some presents in what I actually said. So what I actually said was, the immature thing to do would be to look at what AI does and to judge it by, well, people always judge AI, people are tempted to judge AI by asking it to do something they're really good at and then comparing AI's output to what they can do and the thing they're really good at.
Oh, which is what your childish version did. Okay.
Right, exactly. Inevitably, the GPT will lose to the thing you're really good at because it's not an expert at everything. It's good at everything.
I think you used the word mediocre,
really
which I think is a good
thing.
Mediocre is a good word for it, right?
I think what I said was impressively, brilliantly, universally mediocre. And it's the universal bit that impresses me so much. It's fine at everything. And I'm really good at 1 or 2 things and terrible at many things. So when I judge ChatGPT by the 1 or 2 things I'm really good at, it's terrible. when I judge ChatGPT against the infinity of things I'm awful at, it's brilliant. It is way better at drawing than me. It's way better at Japanese than me. It's way better at, frankly, English, unfortunately, than me. So I think if you judge ChatGPT by how it is at something you're not good at and how it gets you from something you could never even start to something passable, or at least something that gives you a starting point, I think that's really impressive.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's able to do that for everyone, like the thing it's good for you is not the thing it's good for me, is not the thing it's good for my mum, is not the thing it's good for my boss, is not the thing it's good for my brother. To something passable, or at least something that gives you a starting point, I think that's really impressive.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's able to do that for everyone, like the thing it's good for you is not.
You're
English.
muted.
Oh, I'm trying to play it back to hear what Lindsay heard.
Frankly, English, unfortunately, than me. So I think if you judge ChatGPT by how it is at something you're not good at and how it gets you from something you could never even start to something passable, or at least something that gives you a starting point, I think that's really impressive.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's able to do that for everyone, like the thing it's good for you is not the thing it's good for me, is not the thing it's good for my mum, is not the thing it's good for my boss, is not the thing it's good for my brother. It's good for something for everyone. It's just a different something. And the fact that one tool can be able to help everyone for something is kind of impressive.
So-
Not kind of, genuinely.
I'm glad you described it that way, because what I'm good at is writing. I can construct really good sentences. I at 5,000 words a week for 20 years. I've gotten pretty good at it. And so when I look at people having it write for them, I'm like, well, that's stupid. Why would you ever have it do that? But that's because that's not their strength. So it's exactly what you're talking about here. This is going to pull back the curtain a little bit, and you'll hear this whole story later because I'll be so excited if I get this to work. But I'm working on this idea for something about cross-stitching. And what I wanted was to be able to draw on screen a rectangular box with kind of a squiggly shape in, because a cross-stitch pattern is some amorphous. It's usually not a rectangle. It's, some sort of shape. And so I thought, well, how am I going to write that on screen? And so I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, draw me a squiggly shape on screen. And it just basically drew scribbles. And I said, okay, well, it needs to be an enclosed shape. It says, okay, so it did an enclosed shape and it made it blue. But the lines were crossing over each other. So I said, okay, don't do that. I want you to not have the lines go over each other. And it went, oh, okay. And by the way, when I described it, I said I wanted it to be a squiggly shape. The entire code, which is now quite lengthy because I've done a lot of iterations, is filled with comments and variable names that all use the word squiggly. So there's like squiggle factor, and it's like from 15 to 20. You can change this little thing. How squiggly do you want it to be? And all the comments have squiggly in it, and it's delightful. And so that's the blank page to I've got something to start working with. And now I've had it draw another piece of it, and then I'll be able to start putting those pieces together. But I didn't have to figure out, how do I draw a squiggly shape? That would take me about a year and a half, Bart.
Right. That is the ultimate empty page, because you don't actually know what pieces are available to you to put onto that page. So even if the only thing you end up keeping from this very, very first prototype of a prototype is the universe of pieces that exist, that you're probably going to have to spend some time learning, like the ability to draw with JavaScript. There are a few different ways ChatGPT could have done it for you,
me,
but whichever one of them it picked, it's perfectly fine for you then to go and learn that one, because you are going to have to learn a bit more of it to be able to make it do your cross-stitch pattern. But you wouldn't have known where
to start.
If you'll excuse the analogy, what thread to pull.
Yeah.
Like, where?
Well, yeah,
there's a universe of possibilities.
That is what's great, is because it gives you can give it the context. Today we were fighting with our nano leaf shapes, trying to get them into HomeKit, and we had one scene in, and the other scene wouldn't come in, and we couldn't figure out how we did it the first time. So I just asked ChatGPT how to do it, and it was just like, oh, it's okay, do this, 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 this. If you tried to search for that on the web, it would take you years to get to the actual answer, because you have to give it so much context that ChatGPT just jumps right into the context. You don't have to, I got to put it in quotes so that it knows I mean to always include results from Nanoleaf, things like that. So,
well, it's the fact that there's memory right? Because you're refining the answer with every iteration instead of starting fresh, which is what like a search engine is like current Siri, no memory, no idea what happened before. Whereas with a chat in ChatGPT, you're refining, or correcting. You have gone down the complete garden path. Go right back up there, Mr. ChatGPT or Mrs. ChatGPT, and go down this other path instead.
Yeah.
But it remembers.
It's
That's
funny.
very powerful.
I want to close this part because we have a whole nother thing to talk about. But I found something that it cannot draw. A man either in the mountains or wearing a backpack who is clean shaven. It can't do it. It was so amazing how much it couldn't do it that I spent like 25 minutes trying to get it to do it, going, okay, no, I mean without a beard. No beard and no mustache. Yeah?
I thought the modifier was a hiking man. That may be
Yeah,
different.
I can't remember. Yeah,
Okay.
something about that sounded wrong when I said it, but I couldn't remember what the other thing was.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, a man hiking in the
A
mountains.
man hiking, yeah.
But I also said, yeah, man hiking or a man wearing, but I had said he had a backpack on.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely couldn't do it. It was hilarious. I mentioned it to Adam Angston. He gave me a different service to draw it. And it gave me a picture of a woman with very large parts of her upper body, if you will, a very tight outfit. When I asked it for a man clean shaven, it gave me some young boys too, but a lot of men. But all the men had. I think one of them might have not had a beard, so it was kind of funny.
But he wasn't hiking.
I think it got closer. I think there was one or
Okay.
two that like technically you could have said they did it right.
Good.
All right, let me check the closeout here.
Well, it's great to be able to come on and just like spout about theoretical computer science. I don't get to do that very often. It's
Yeah,
really
I said, hey
fascinating
Bart,
stuff. So thank you.
You want to come on where you don't have to do any prep? Yes, I do.
Yes, it
Low
was.
impact. All right. Well, I'm going to say it. Until next time, let's happy computing, I guess, right? That didn't work.
Amen. Semicolon.
Let's see. I'll cut it there. Low impact. All right. Well, I'm going to say it. Until next time, let's happy computing, I guess, right? Still too long. And a lot of uhs in that. God, I can't even say happy computing quickly. I'm going to fix it. All right. Well, I'm going to say it. He's like an idiot. What's wrong with you? I'm going to say it. Until next time, let's. Jeez. I don't even need that.
You can
Until next
identify your
time,
uhs.
Yeah. Until next time, yeah, you start to know the shape of things when you. I know it from Screencast Online, really. Well, I'm going to say it. Until next time, let's happy computing, I guess, right?
Amen.
There we go. That sounds better. That's what happens when I wing it. All right. Here we go. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com anytime you like? If you have a question or a suggestion, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeed.com/Mastodon. If you want to... Jeez Louise. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, you can go to podfeed.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast ways who play around in there. You can support the show at podfeed.com/Patreon, like Keith did this week, or with a one-time donation at podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time, where we might be talking about cars in the chat room while I'm talking, but you can join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Hey, I didn't say hi to the kids. Are the kids there, Linz? Are you torturing them with watching this? There's a podcast. Yeah, it turns out. Wrong thing. Wrong row. Row. There we go. And Steve likes it about there. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. There we go. 43 minutes. Without the 20-minute piece, I was too tired to do. Okay, which Kevin not here, but let's do a chapter count.
I got it.
I'm feeling 5.
That's what I got.
All right, good. All right, export. Export to NosillaCast audio. Save. Yeah, have fun, everybody. I sure hope I am back on voice. Vehicle count. Hope I'm back on voice by next week. That's all I'm hoping for. This gravelly seems to last a little while, but hopefully it's better and better. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming. It was lovely. Bye, everybody.